So, welcome to Drum Addicts on Andertons TV. And if you don't know this face, you should, because he's everywhere. Exactly. But Steve Barney, he's ugly.
Good morning.
Morning.
How are you, sir?
So, Steve, it's easier to just say who you haven't played with, isn't it, really?
There's plenty of people I haven't played with.
Well, as we found out, Cliff Richard. So there we go. There's one.
Give us a call, Cliff.
When you're not using Toby, who's why he's not here today. So, out with everyone, the first time I sort of saw you, and I've said this on the phone when I rang you, is when you were basically the house drummer in the Royal Albert Hall, and you just played with everyone, and that was for charity.
It was for Children Need Rocks in 2009, yeah.
So how long ago it was?
Yeah.
Wow,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
but you basically played with everyone for the whole night, didn't you? There was only 2 people that brought their own drummer.
McCartney brought Abel Boyle Jr. over for obvious reasons, who's a monster.
Legend.
And a lovely bloke. And so that was a really great night. Yeah,
that was, so who was there? Robbie Williams.
Robbie Williams, Take That, Dame Shirley Bassey, Dizzee Rascal. Paolo Nutini.
Yeah, so it was...
Yeah, it was a really nice night with a really varied sort of set of people to play for.
Which is obviously cool just to play live with so many artists. But in your career, you've also played with, I don't know, Annie Lennox, obviously, most famously, but Anastacia you've done live work with, Lulu was it? And
Lulu was a one-off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who else? You've recorded with lots of people as well, haven't you? So when you're not out on the road being an actual drummer, you do studio stuff as well. So what do you prefer, studio or live or...
I love both.
Videos could be here. You can say that.
I love videos. This is really comfortable. To be honest, live has been more the place where I've, I guess, my kind of crust, from being a drummer. That's not to say I don't love the studio thing, but live has just been something where I've been booked more for, and I really enjoy that. But I love the creative opportunity of being in the studio, and I've done some great stuff in the studio. I've done an album with Jeff Beck. I have recorded with Annie Lennox.
I forgot to say Jeff Beck. There we go. That's what I was thinking.
I didn't want to mention it. No. That was a wonderful opportunity. And I guess I've done pop stuff. I played on Will Young's "Leave Right Now" single, which was my one and only #1. I'm very proud of that song, or being involved in that song. And so I mean, I love both touring and studio stuff. But I think touring has definitely been my home, really.
And you do the odd drum clinic as well. Obviously, you've done London Drum Show this weekend. That's why we've stolen you.
This is a miracle that you got me here. I tend to shy away from clinics because I think there's a lot of people that do them a lot better than I think I could do them.
Right. Okay.
I'm not trying to be down on myself. This is just the way I feel about it. But so I did attend the London Drum Show yesterday, but I was just giving out programs. I wasn't doing any performance. No, I was basically showing my support for the wonderful Natal drums, and I was just sort of hanging out and catching up with some really good friends yesterday. But so I don't tend to do the clinic thing, but I like to do sort of things like this where I can, where the opportunity comes up.
And we're going to play this kit before you bought it because you're getting one. So is it this colour you picked as well, or?
I didn't pick this colour, but I do love this colour, so I'm happy with this colour. That's the situation. So it fits in the car.
Yeah, perfect. Not your car though, because you don't drive, do you?
No, I don't drive. So can you believe that, people?
Yeah. A drummer that doesn't drive is pretty unusual.
That is. So how did I manage to blag that?
Well, you just got George as a chauffeur, haven't you? That's how you've done it.
Bless him. Thank you, George.
So how have you done that?
That's a really
you're just
good
on
question.
Tour on a bus all the time.
Do you know what? I really obviously I know that driving would be a major asset in anyone's life, right? I'm not that unintelligent, but it's not something I've ever wanted to do or feel comfortable learning to drive. So. Many years ago,
Liverpool streets that horrible? Is that what you're saying?
No,
you don't drive in Liverpool.
I do live in Liverpool, but obviously the bulk of my work is London-based. So many years ago, but maybe 15, 20 years ago, when I started to get into sort of session work, I basically decided to get a lock-up in London and keep my drums in London. So whenever I would have a call for work, the drums could be easily transported from A to B. And it's never been a problem that I don't live in London and my drums can be there. And I'm often there before, people that live in London arrive at the rehearsals because everyone goes, oh, you live in Liverpool, we can't book you, that's miles away. But actually, sometimes I'm there waiting for the London-based people. So it's worked. It's worked so far. I've blagged it, it's working so far. I wasn't going to mention it, but now you mentioned it, we all know.
I was going to bring it up.
It can work.
Yeah. Totally. I drive a shitty van and that's how I get my gear around. But
you can't say shitty.
Yeah, true. I drive a Transit and they're the best van. yeah, living up north and working in London a lot.
Yeah.
How do you cope? You've got gear in various places, haven't you? So Natal obviously have been very friendly and lent you some gear, shall we say?
Yes, yes.
Scheduled it to you.
Yes.
But
basically, I keep a kit in London. I've got various options of stuff in London. That's the main bulk of my work, and I keep drums in my lockup as well in my little studio space in Liverpool as well for practice-based stuff or anything that might happen. And if north of the border.
If you're as free as you are, when basically we went into the store with Steve when he arrived, didn't even make a brew, just went, let's pick some cymbals. Didn't even care, just went, I have an 18 and a 19. And so it's literally, you will make whatever fit the situation, which is really cool.
I try to, I mean, with the greatest respect.
They're all Zildjian cymbals, so
of course.
Tina's happy.
Yeah. No, I mean, they make great cymbals, and there's some great drum options, so it's gonna it doesn't have to be a particular thing for me. I mean, but I've gone towards the A customs and stuff, which I like. So
and we picked some nice hi hats too.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to try them out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You have had a sort of similar setup from a lot of the things that I've checked you out doing, which is the sort of 1 up, 2 down. We are doing 2 up, 2 down today, just to show some more drums off. Do you have very simplistic setup by choice, or do you just sort of think you don't need to be Terry Bozzio? What's made you pick your gear in the past? Whatever brand it's been.
I'm a very simplistic drummer. No, I've sort of stuck with the same setup because I'm really comfortable with it, I guess. And I know people can change things around for different tours, but I guess I found a setup which I'm comfortable with. Like I said, apart from the 2 up, 2 down thing, which I've gone for on the most recent Anastacia tour, which was an addition which wasn't sort of planned as such. But when I went to Natal, George had a great kit sitting there, which happened to be 2 up, 2 down, and I just felt really comfortable. And
your colour is the red in the middle, black stripe, isn't it?
They made a really nice, got a Babinga kit from the, I think the original series is called, and I showed them the front cover of the most recent Anastacia album, which is like a Ultimate Collection, the best of, which has got a really nice kind of red and black sort of sparkly kind of thing. And Natal were really kind enough to make me a kit which would match that, so as far as the tour and the kind of look of the stage, they very, very quickly got on board and made a particular sort of kit, which I don't believe you can buy in the shops at the moment, but I guess if people like it, they might do. But it's really,
we can order it for you.
Yeah, we can do this. Yeah.
So
Tell me, George.
You actually picked a colour from an album cover. That's cool.
I just picked 2 particular colours, which I thought would be nice to complement the look of the stage, because not only touring is about the performing aspect. I mean, if you can add something to the production of the show, the way the kit looks, then hopefully it would help the show. So and she was really pleased that I did that, and I didn't ask to do it. It just
and it's cool colour kit as well. So
it worked out well.
You can get your Natal drum and you can Dulex paint chart it and go, actually, I want this, this, and this. And
they can do
George
that.
will do it for you.
Yeah.
That is super cool, actually.
Yeah,
I didn't know that's why you had that colour.
No. They were very sort of quick to do that for me.
Yeah,
so
cool colour and a cool kit as well. So when you are playing with Anastacia, we've got 2 snares floating around today. Do you use the same snare? Have you got a favourite snare? What makes you, obviously snare is like a big part of the kit and a big personality of your playing.
Massive,
what makes you pick your snare?
I've got a 14 by, I think it's 7 or 8. It's pretty deep, but I like to crank it to have a real snap and some depth to it as well. So it's my main snare. I've always tend to go for something with that type of range.
And metal or wood?
I think I've gone with wood on this particular one. It sounds really nice.
Usually I go brass. I was just don't know. I like the harshness of it.
Yeah.
But
and I've got a little 10 by 5 piccolo for a little bit of a crack kind of funkiness, should the opportunity take me. Again, I mean, I've had different snare options over the years, and again in the studio you might want to fatten something off with a bit of a floppy sound, which I can do if need be.
Perfect to know. This sounds like your evening as well.
I'm
not going there.
Yeah.
So what makes you, if you've got a particular snare, do you, because obviously some people pick their snare and they go, oh, that's the chorus one, and I was just thinking, because he was at the London Drum Show, Brian Fraser Moore just had like 4 snares on his kit for the Christina Aguilera gig, and just has gear everywhere. So are you someone that goes, no, I will make this snare fit this gig, or do you go, I'll just play it, or do you detune it? What makes you go, because 14 by 8, that's an unusual size. That
is, but it doesn't sound like, I've chosen that because it sounds right for the particular gig I'm on, the Anastacia gig, which is kind of a rocky pop gig, and I think you need some real sort of crack and depth to that particular snare drum. So that's why I've gone with that. But there was like a rock medley in the tour that we did. I think the Resurrection tour the year before we did, where we played Back in Black, Sweet Child of Mine, and Best of You by the Foo Fighters, which is a great 3 songs to do together. And I used to go to a deeper brass on that, and had a really kind of a bit of an old head, to say the least. I nearly said shitty, but you can't swear. and that sounded really fat. I mean, I basically tried to emulate the Back in Black thick kind of fat sound. So yeah, I had a little moment where I swapped back and forth on that part of the show. But for the most part, I do stick to the fat sort of rock funky snare, and then a little piccolo at the side. I'm happy with that.
That's fair enough. So mentioning Back in Black and things like that.
Yeah.
Phil Rudd was one of my big inspirations for playing drums. What was yours? What made you go, I want to start playing drums?
Phil Collins.
Phil Collins. Oh, there we go.
Phil Collins.
Who's back on the road. This is great news.
Guy's a legend. I was kind of 9 years old, and my father, who's a great fan of music but not a musician, it was really inspiring, and it's still inspiring to me to this day with the music choices he plays me. He's an amazing guy. And he took me to see Genesis, who were on tour in 1980.
Is that your first gig?
Yeah, Genesis, yeah.
That's a damn good gig.
I was 9, and Genesis did a theatre tour. So they were like a stadium or arena band at the time, but they decided to get back to basics, and it was the Duke tour. And Genesis came to Great Yarmouth. So I'm originally from Norwich in Norfolk. So for Genesis to come to, Great Yarmouth is a miracle.
Yeah.
And it was way before, companies where you buy tickets online and stuff. It was back to the day where if you wanted to get into a concert, you had to queue up all night. So my uncle Roger was in a sleeping bag on Regent High Road in Great Yarmouth all night in the rain to get these tickets. And while I didn't understand what he was doing at that time, because I was obviously 9 years old, I think I could sense it was a really special thing I was about to see. And seeing that show, and Phil Collins and Chester Thompson, that combination just blew my mind. And I literally did leave that place. I was already playing drums, but that really nailed it for me. I was just so blown away by the spirit of Phil's playing and Chester's playing.
That's a super cool inspiration, cool story. I like that. Is there someone, obviously, he started or sparked the sort of passion? Is there someone that you still... Is there someone you might have seen at the London Drum Show at the weekend and gone, actually, I quite like that? Who's new? Who have you checked out that you sort of go, I'm going to steal that lick? Or
I wouldn't try to steal anyone's licks, but I did watch Brian Fraser Moore yesterday. He was incredible and a really funny guy and so humble compared to all the gigs he's done, which are massive. So I was really inspired by him yesterday. He was great. I mean, honestly, truly, I don't mean to sound like sitting on the fence here, but every drummer I hear, I'm inspired by in one way or another. We've got so many amazing British drummers, Andy Gangadin, Ash Sohn, Donovan Hepburn. There's a really my mate, Tug, who plays for Basement Jacks, Luke Bullen for Brian Ferry. There's a ton of guys. Everyone has got something special. I really like Dexter Hercules. I think he's an amazing new drummer.
Yeah,
There's so many guys. For everyone I've mentioned, there's a zillion that I did mention. But there's a lot of, seeing someone like Steve White yesterday, who's a really one of our great drummers in this country, and I went in for a drum competition when I was, I think, 18, where I first met George Frederick from Natal. And
is that how long you've known George?
Yeah, since about 89, 88. And the Drummers Alliance from Sheffield, a guy called Tony Kennelly, did this regional drum competition, and back in the day when I liked playing drum solos, I did this event.
Were you going to play one today?
I'm not, no. I'm going to play a couple of songs. But so I went in for this drum competition. I won the Norfolk heat, big moment, and I got to the London final, which I didn't win, but which was cool because I was still there. But Steve was one of the judges on that, so it's quite nice to come full circle and be sort of friends with Steve and know people like that. Later on in my life as I get more mature.
More mature. Yeah, you rock the wavy hair.
I rock the baldness.
So you've done a lot of gigs and in many different parts of the world. What's your favourite gig? Has one just gone, I don't know, that really small pub?
Do you mean a particular gig or a particular tour or?
Just, particular gig. What makes it special? When you've done so many, what did you pick out and go, actually, that one? Could have been the one at the Royal Albert Hall. I mean, that was a cool gig.
That was very special.
That was a cool gig.
It was a great night. I might pick a couple of three if that's okay. So the tour with Annie Lennox and Sting in 2004. So I wasn't playing for Sting, but Annie Lennox was opening for Sting. So I can't really pick a particular night, but that particular tour, playing for someone as special as Annie with that material, and then coming off stage and grabbing a water and watching Sting was a great time in my life. And we played Madison Square Garden and the Hollywood Bowl, which was just pretty amazing stuff to do. So that was a really special gig. I played Live Aid with Annie Lennox in 2005 at Hyde Park to like 150,000 people in front of us, and then God knows how many watching at home.
Live.
That was special. Anastasia's stuff, I've had some amazing sort of stuff with her. The tour we've just done recently with her was a great success.
And you got another one
coming up. Absolutely, so
2017 is booked.
Yeah, it's looking good. MU Diary. So, yes, I mean, everything I've done with Anastacia is equally great, you know. I mean, I have to say the Jeff Beck gig. I mean, I had this option of, I had this opportunity rather of playing with Jeff Beck in 2003. Recorded an album with him, with my friend Andy Wright, which was at the time was a surprise call because I don't really come from that fusion rock kind of background. I consider myself more of a straight ahead song drummer, you know. But the album Jeff was making at the time was way more dance orientated and 4/4 and kind of big beats. And the guy that pulled me in, thought that I'd be great for that particular thing, and it worked out great. And just by chance, I think I got lucky that while I was there, Jeff got asked to do 3 nights at the Royal Festival Hall as a career retrospective to his career. And he said, "Would you like to be the drummer?" You know, and of course I just spat my tea out in shock and said yes, because you have to. But then I went back to Liverpool with these CDs of kind of thing, and I don't mind sharing this because I didn't end up doing the show, but I bottled it halfway through learning the stuff and rang up the manager and said, "Listen, Ralph, any chance I could pull out and just swap the gig for a ticket and I'll come and watch?" "Steve, you'll be fine. I've spoken to Jeff. We'll see you Monday. It's cool." And anyway, I ended up doing it, and the great Terry Bozzio was a special guest on it. So I was the house drummer for that night, and that was a really special thing for me to do. And Terry was wonderful to play alongside.
Did he have his rig?
He did have his rig, okay. And I had my little rig, but together our rig sounded good. No, he was wonderful. So I haven't really answered your question there indirectly, but indirectly I wanted to share some stuff with you.
Yeah, when you got a massive career.
Tell you what was a great gig. I was
this one?
No, this is great. I'm really enjoying this. It's pretty good. Feel quite relaxed.
You can have a brew.
I'll tell you what was a really special gig. And it was me, as a young kid, sitting in my front room with my mum and dad, right, with a load of biscuit tins in front of me, pretending to be a drummer.
Okay.
It was Valentine's Day, and my mum and dad were slow dancing in the front room while we all sang "All You Need Is Love" by the Beatles. And I've got that as a really nice memory of my mum and dad being totally in love together, and me in the corner on biscuit tins while they danced to my biscuit tin music. That's not really a gig, is it? But that was a special
that's
moment.
The fact that most drummers start on a biscuit tin is...
Do you do biscuit tins, George?
Is it the McVitie range? Is this the new range? No, I remember a horrible story, and I hate my brother for it. I had a Dorito tin that was slightly bigger that had metal top and plastic bottom, so you could switch. Yeah. And he decided to cut it in half.
I guess Pringles are octobans, aren't they? We can't say that, can we? Cut that out.
That's fine. Can play that. Cool. Shall we check out what these drums sound like?
Yeah, we should do, yeah.
Should we do that?
Yeah.
So you've got quite an extensive sort of gig history to pull out of, what's the most embarrassing one? What's the one that, I don't know, you were dressed as a chicken or you did in a horrible venue? What's the most embarrassing gig?
That's a really good question.
You got paid to do it though, so it's not that embarrassing.
That's a really good question. I don't think I've got an embarrassing one as such. Do you mean what
about a disaster? I know, fell off the stool, I don't know. Something.
Thank you.
There we go.
Here we go. So, I was playing for an artist called Gareth Gates that some people might remember was one of the early...
You're going to talk about stools and Gareth Gates. Is this going in a good direction?
Yeah, it's a good direction.
Fine.
Only one direction it's going in.
Fine. Not the band.
Yeah. So, Gareth Gates, for those that maybe don't remember, he was one of the Pop Idol... I think he was a runner-up to Will Young, so the year that Will Young won it, which is about 2003, I think. Anyway, Did you do
everyone that won Pop Idol? Because you've done Will Young and as well.
All of them. Yeah. Just like some redial. No, so just them two. No, but so I did an arena, like a UK arena tour with Gareth Gates, which was great. He's a really talented guy, good musician. And we went to Southeast Asia. And on the last night of the Southeast Asian tour, we were in Taiwan, playing in a venue that wasn't really a venue. I think it was a sports hall, right? And there was like a stage put up and the lights and everything. And basically, what happened was in the middle of Gareth's show, we both, like, Gareth had a drum kit in the show, and me and him did a little drum thing together. You know, nothing crazy, but just a bit of kind of showmanship, you know, within his show. And he comes on the kit, he plays a bit, I play a bit, he plays a bit, and obviously the crowd goes wild for him because their Pop Idol is on the drum kit, and then he goes absolutely nuts, blows me away with his drumming, right? In the panto style, I get up off. This is all pre-worked out during the tour. I get up off the kit, put my coat on, and go to walk off stage because I've been upstaged by the Pop Idol. It's all very panto, but it's good in the spirit of it. For some reason, the last night of the tour, I think it's a funny thing in the spirit of the moment to actually physically go off stage, but just run round the back of the stage to then come back on again to surprise Gareth. It was quite a loose part of the show. So I do this. I hadn't done this all tour, by the way. It's just a sort of thing that happened in my mind at that one particular time. I go all the way around the stage, and not being a proper stage and the way they'd built the thing, there was no white tape or any bars to stop people, and I fell off the back of the stage behind the curtain where no one could see. So meanwhile, Gareth is out front. I've gone and hit the floor. The guitar tech is looking over the edge of the stage going, "Steve, you fell off the stage." I went, "I know I did." I'm like, and meanwhile I can hear Gareth out front through the PA going, "Steve, mate, where are you, mate? Steve." And I'm laying on the floor. It's an embarrassing thing that I did here, but I managed to get back on stage, and Gareth thought I went to the toilet because I needed the toilet. A random thing to do, and I will never do that again. And all jokes aside, I think I was very lucky not to really injure myself, and anything could have happened, you know. But I did fall off the stage. What I think would be, I sort of can't help but smile to myself that if I had really injured myself and never came back on stage, it actually would have looked like that I was really upset with how I'd been upstaged by him, and I never came back on, which I think would be quite fun. But yeah, that's the story to share.
Yeah, there we go. That's
a long one, but I got there in the end.
What if you played with a lot of people? Who's your dream gig? Who haven't you played with that you'd want to add to the CV? Dead or alive? Obviously, it could be someone super cool, and you go, actually, I know James Brown. I don't know. It could be anyone. I
would love to have played for Phil Collins, you know, because of that connection for me. I was a big fan of Bowie. I think David Bowie would have been a phenomenal gig. Peter Gabriel.
That's a good gig.
There's a theme there, isn't there? You know, there's loads of people. To be honest, I mean, I'm ultimately grateful that people call you for work, and so yeah. But I think those guys would be pretty amazing.
What draws you if you've got your iPod on and you're on shuffle or whatever? What draws you in? What makes you go, "Oh, this is a tune"? Obviously, you picked quite specific musicians then that all have really good back catalogues. So
I think I'm warm like the more mature I get. I'm not saying old, am I? I'm more drawn to songs and emotions within, or lyrics within songs. So I don't, so like I used to when I was younger, would listen to loads of kind of albums that was based upon the drumming that was going on, or the sort of technical ability of stuff within those albums, which was a great time in my life to listen to that stuff. But the more mature I get, I kind of warm to songs. So I don't know. There's different stuff I listen to. I don't like one particular style of music. You know, I like lots of stuff really. So
I think that shows because you play so many different styles with so many different artists. That
thank you.
You've inspired lots of people with regards to because you get people going, I'm just a pop drummer, but to do pop really well is a talent. So I hate people when they say, it's only pop. It's really cool that.
Well, I think ultimately
you've done pop really well. It's
thank you. I think ultimately I'd say my job is
turn up and hit things,
and just ultimately be a supportive, solidity to that artist that you're playing for. Do you know what I mean? And anyone that's on stage. So, it's called pop music, but there's so much within it. Do you know what I mean? Even the people that I've mentioned, some gigs might be more enjoyable than others, but I find there's always something to enjoying every gig that I've done. So.
If you had fallen off the back of stage, but if you had got to a stage and you could only have one bit of gear, what's your key bit of gear? You go, is it your in-ears or your sticks or whatever? What can't you live without on tour?
I think snare drum's pretty important, isn't it? Because it's the thing you hit most and loudest. Kick, snare and hat,
all of them.
You can pretty much get away with it, yeah. But I'd say snare drum, I guess.
Snare?
But we need it all, really. We couldn't do it all with the snare drum, could we? But I think my particular snare that I've got is a big favourite, and I like to use that.
That's what you'd rescue first, is it?
I think so, yeah.
Cool. Thank you for coming in today.
Pleasure, mate. It was great.
It was great fun.
Really enjoyed it.
Cool playing as always.
Thank you, mate.
If you want to know what Steve's up to, obviously you can just check out his extensive career history. It's all over YouTube. But check out the links below for Facebook, Twitter, and
Instagram.
All the other things that people connect with. You can just talk to him because that's what I've done today.
I do reply.
Thank you for checking out Steve's playing, Natal drums. This has been Drum Addicts on Andertons TV, and we'll see you next time.